Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're diving into a brand new medieval adventure that's all about chaos, cunning, and a little bit of market madness. Picture this. It's a bustling medieval marketplace where traders haggle over spices, kids dodge pigs, and secrets swap hands faster than coins. Our story kicks off with a clever merchant named Aldrich, a sharp-tongued baker's daughter named Edwina, and a mystery that could turn their lives upside down. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're ready for some epic storytelling, and subscribe if you're loving these historical vibes. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always wild to see who's joining us from around the globe. All right, let's set the mood. Imagine the clatter of carts and the smell of fresh bread, and let's step into the medieval market, Mayhem, together. It's a crisp morning in the year 1180. And the market square of a sleepy English village is buzzing like a beehive. Stalls line the muddy streets, piled high with goods wool from the hills, apples from the orchards, and jars of honey that gleam like gold. Aldrich, a wiry merchant with a crooked grin, is already at work, his booth stacked with bolts of dyed cloth and a few questionable trinkets he picked up on his last trip. He's got a knack for spinning a tale, convincing farmers their wives need his magic scarves to ward off evil spirits. His niche. He's the guy who knows everyone's business and uses it to his advantage. Today, though, he's got his eye on something bigger. A rumor about a hidden stash of silver buried somewhere in the village. Across the square, Edwina's kneading dough behind her family's bakery stall, her flour-dusted apron flapping in the breeze. She's got sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. The kind of girl who can talk a knight out of his armor with a single quip. Her dad's been sick, leaving her to run the show, and she's not thrilled about it. The bakery's her family's lifeline. But with taxes rising and grain prices spiking, she's barely scraping by. Her secret weapon, a stash of spiced buns she's been perfecting, hoping to draw in enough customers to keep the creditors at bay. She's heard the same silver rumor as Aldrich, and while she doesn't trust him, she knows he might be useful. The market's alive with chatter. A blacksmith hammers away, sparks flying as he shapes a plowshare. A fishmonger yells about his fresh catch, though it smells more like last week's storm. Kids dart between stalls, snagging apples when the vendors aren't looking, while a priest strolls by, muttering about sin. But beneath the noise, there's tension. A group of armed men mercenaries hired by the local lord patrols the edges, their eyes scanning for trouble. Word is, the lord's been squeezing the village for taxes to fund some fancy new castle, and people are getting restless. Aldrich's been whispering to a few traders about the silver, suggesting it could be their ticket out of this mess. Edwina overhears, rolls her eye, and mutters, "That snake's up to no good again." The day takes a turn when a scruffy traveler stumbles into the square, clutching a battered map. He's got a wild look, like he's seen a ghost, and he's asking for Aldrich by name. The merchant slips over, all smiles, and the two huddle behind a stall. Edwina, curious, edges closer Pretending to adjust her bread display, the traveler's voice is low but urgent. He claims the map leads to a chest of silver hidden by a runaway monk decades ago, stashed to avoid the church's greedy hands. Aldrich's eyes light up, but the traveler warns him. It's cursed. Touch it, and you'll bring ruin. Edwina snorts. Quietly, curses are for kids' stories, but she files the info away. Trouble brews fast. The mercenaries spot the huddle and march over, demanding to know what's up. Aldrich, quick on his feet, says it's just a trade deal gone sour, flashing a coin to smooth things over. The leader, a burly guy with a scar across his cheek, grunts but backs off for now. Edwina catches Aldrich's eye and jerks her head toward the alley. They need to talk, and she's not waiting for him to make the first move. She grabs a loaf of bread, wraps it in cloth, and slips away, motioning for him to follow. In the alley, away from prying eyes, Edwina lays it out. I heard that map talk. If there's silver, we split it 50-50. My family needs it more than your fancy scarves. Aldrich laughs, but there's a glint in his eye. Fair enough. Baker girl, but we need a plan. Those mercenaries won't let us dig without a fight. They hash out a scheme. Edwina will distract the market with a bread giveaway, drawing the crowd and the mercenaries away, while Aldrich sneaks off to scout the map's first clue, a crumbling chapel on the village outskirts. It's risky, but they're both desperate enough to try. The giveaway works like a charm. Edwina climbs onto a crate, shouting about free spiced buns, and the square erupts. Kids cheer, women push forward, and even the mercenaries loosen up, grabbing bread and laughing. Aldrich slips out, map in hand, heading for the chapel. It's a rickety old building, half swallowed by ivy, with a broken stained glass window casting eerie light. Inside, he finds an old altar, its stone cracked and mossy. The map points to a loose brick number 7 from the left. He pries it out, heart pounding, and feels a hollow space. His fingers brush metal, a small iron box. Jackpot. But the victory's short-lived. As he pulls the box free, the ground trembles. A beam cracks overhead, and dust rains down. Aldrich dives out just as the ceiling caves in. The box clutched tight. Outside, he hears shouts. The mercenaries are coming. Alerted by the noise, Edwina's still in the square, handing out the last bun, when she spots the dust cloud and Aldrich sprinting toward her, box in hand. Run, he yells, and she doesn't hesitate. They bolt through the crowd, dodging stalls and startled villagers, the mercenaries' boots thumping behind them. They duck into a narrow lane, hearts racing, and hide behind a stack of barrels. Aldrich opens the box. Inside are silver coins, tarnished but real, along with a parchment warning of a guardian's curse. Before they can react, an arrow thuds into the barrel inches from Edwina's head. The mercenaries have tracked them, and their leader's snarling orders. Aldrich grabs her hand, and they take off again, weaving through back streets, the silver clinking with every step. The chase is on, and the market mayhem's just getting started. This is where we pause. Folks, we've got Aldrich and Edwina on the run with a box of silver, mercenaries hot on their trail. and a mysterious curse hanging over it all. Want to see what happens next? Drop a comment and let me know if you're ready for Chapter 2. For now, hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the craziest thing you've ever chased after in a rush? Share it below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Hey everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We're diving right into the thick of our medieval market mayhem saga. Last time, we left Aldrich and Edwina on the run. Clutching a box of silver coins they snatched from a crumbling chapel, with mercenaries hot on their heels and a mysterious curse whispering in the background. Tonight, we're cranking up the stakes as they dodge danger, unravel secrets, and figure out if this treasure's worth the chaos. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're loving this ride, and subscribe if you're new to these historical vibes. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a blast to see our global crew tuning in. All right, let's set the mood. Hear the thud of boots and the clink of silver, and let's jump back into the action. Aldrich and Edwina huddle behind the barrels, breaths ragged, as another arrow thuds into the wood. The alley's narrow, stinking of damp straw and old fish. But it's their only cover. Aldrich clutches the iron box, its tarnished silver coins glinting faintly in the dim light. Edwina's got flour still streaked on her cheek from the bread giveaway. Her eyes wide with a mix of fear and fury. "What did you get us into?" she hisses, peeking around the barrel. The mercenaries' shouts grow louder, 5 of them, led by that scar-faced brute, are closing in, swords drawn and torches flickering. The curse on that parchment flashes in Aldrich's mind, but he shoves the thought down. "We've got the silver," he whispers back. "We just need to outsmart them." The plan forms fast. Edwina grabs a handful of flour from her apron pocket, left over from the bakery, and tosses it into the air as they bolt from the barrels. The dust cloud blinds the mercenaries for a second, giving the duo a head start. They sprint down the lane, dodging crates and a startled goat, the box clanking with every step. Aldrich's mind races. He knows the village like the back of his hand, and there's a hidden cellar under the tanner's shop that might buy them time. "This way!" he yells, yanking Edwina toward a rickety door half buried in vines. She stumbles but keeps up, her baker's strength surprising him as she shoves the door open. Inside, the cellar's dark and musty, the air thick with the tang of leather and lye. They wedge the door shut with a broken stool and collapse against the wall. Panting, the box sits between them, and Aldrich finally opens the parchment again. The warning reads, "The Guardian's curse falls on those who take without offering. Return the silver, or face the wrath." Edwina snorts. Sounds like monk nonsense to scare thieves. But who's the Guardian? Aldrich shrugs, but his gut twists. The chapel's collapse wasn't natural. Maybe there's truth to this. Before they can dig deeper, footsteps thud overhead. The mercenaries are searching, and they're close. Edwina's quick thinking saves them. She spots a trap door in the floor, barely visible under a pile of hides. They pry it open, revealing a crawl space that leads under the street. It's tight, damp, and crawling with spiders, but it's their only shot. Aldrich goes first, box in tow, and Edwina follows, pulling the trapdoor shut behind her. They wriggle through the dark, the silver coins scraping against the stone, until they emerge in a drainage ditch on the village outskirts. The night air hits them like a slap, and they collapse, gasping. The mercenaries' torches are still visible in the distance, but they've lost the trail for now. Safe for a moment, they inspect the haul. The box holds about 50 silver coins, enough to pay off Edwina's debts and set Aldrich up for months. But the curse nags at them. Aldrich suggests they hide the silver and figure out the Guardian later. Maybe offer some tribute to appease it. Edwina agrees, but insists they split it first half for her family, half for him. They bury most of it under a gnarled oak near the ditch, marking it with a scratched X, and keep a few coins for emergencies. As they cover the spot, a low growl echoes from the trees. They freeze, hearts pounding, but nothing emerges. Just the wind, Aldrich mutters, though he doesn't sound convinced. The next day, they return to the market, acting casual. Edwina's back at the bakery, selling bread with a forced smile, while Aldrich peddles his scarves, keeping an ear out for gossip. The mercenaries are still around, asking questions, but the villagers are tight-lipped. Fear of the Lord's tax collectors keeps them loyal. Edwina overhears a drunk stable boy muttering about the chapel ghost, claiming it's been restless since the collapse. Aldrich catches wind of it too and decides they need to investigate. That night, they sneak back to the chapel ruins, armed with a lantern and a loaf of bread, as an offering. Edwina's idea, figuring it might appease whatever's out there. The ruins are eerie, the air heavy with dust and decay. They place the bread on the altar's remains, and Aldrich reads the curse aloud, offering to return the silver if the Guardian shows itself. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, a shadow shifts. A gaunt figure in a monk's robe, eyes hollow, emerges from the rubble. It's not a ghost, but a living man, emaciated and wild-haired, clutching a staff. "I am the Guardian," he rasps. "The silver was my penance, hidden to save my soul. Take it, and my curse follows you." Edwina steps forward, fearless. "We don't want your curse. Tell us how to break it, and we'll leave it here." The monk, half mad from years in hiding, explains the silver must be returned to the chapel and blessed by a priest, or it'll bring misfortune, disease, fire, ruin. Oh, he's been guarding it to atone for stealing it decades ago, fearing the church's wrath. Aldrich's skeptical, but sees the logic returning. It could end the chase. Edwina, though, has a better idea. What if we use it to help the village? Pay the taxes, feed the poor. That's a blessing, right? The monk hesitates, then nods. A good deed might lift the curse, but the mercenaries won't let you. They don't have time to debate. The mercenaries burst into the ruins, swords drawn. Having tracked them again, Aldrich grabs the lantern, swinging it to create a blinding flash, while Edwina hurls a handful of flour from her pocket. Another distraction. They bolt, the monk vanishing into the shadows, and make for the village square. The plan's clear. Use the silver to pay the Lord's tax collector, who's due tomorrow, and hope it counts as a blessing. It's a long shot, but it's their only play to dodge the curse and the mercenaries. Back in the square, they rally a few trusted villagers, the blacksmith, a weaver, and the stable boy explaining the silver's origin and the monk's deal. The group agrees to back them, pooling their own meager savings to sweeten the offer. As dawn breaks, the tax collector arrives, a pompous man in silk robes. Flanked by guards, Aldrich steps up, presenting the silver and the villagers' contribution, claiming it's a communal gift to ease the Lord's burden. The collector counts the coins, smirks, and accepts unaware of the chaos behind it. The mercenaries watch from afar, fuming but powerless with the deal done. The curse seems to lift. No disease strikes. No fires erupt. The village breathes easier, and Edwina's bakery gets a boost from the goodwill. Aldrich, though, keeps an eye on the chapel, wondering if the monk's still out there. The silver's gone, but the adventure's left its mark. They've turned a cursed hall into a village lifeline, and their unlikely partnership's just beginning. That's Chapter 2, folks. Aldrich and Edwina outsmarted mercenaries, faced a guardian, and turned silver into salvation. But the story's not over. More challenges await. Stay tuned for Chapter 3. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the wildest teamwork you've seen pull off a win? Drop it below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace! Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're wrapping up our medieval market mayhem saga with a bang tonight. Last time, Aldrich and Edwina turned a cursed silver stash into a village lifeline, outsmarting mercenaries and striking a deal with a wild monk guardian. But the dust hasn't settled yet. New threats loom, alliances shift, and our duo's about to face their toughest test. So grab a cozy drink, hit that like button if you're loving this ride, and subscribe if you're new to these historical deep dives. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always awesome to see our global crew vibing together. All right, let's set the mood, feel the tension of a stormy night, and let's dive into the final chapter of this wild tale. The village square is quiet after the tax collector's departure, but the calm feels fragile. Aldrich and Edwina stand by the bakery, counting their small victory. The silver's paid the Lord's dues. The curse seems lifted, and the villagers are grateful. Edwina's spiced buns are selling out. Her family's debts eased, while Aldrich's scarf sales are up, thanks to the goodwill. But the mercenaries aren't done. Scarface, their leader, lingers in the shadows, his eyes burning with resentment. He's not just mad about losing the silver, he's out for blood, blaming Aldrich for the embarrassment. Word spreads that the Lord's furious too. He wanted more than the tax, and suspects the villagers are hiding something. That night, a storm rolls in, thunder rumbling like an angry god. Aldrich's at his booth, packing up, when Scarface and two goons ambush him. They drag him to a back alley, demanding to know where the rest of the silver is. Aldrich plays dumb, but a punch to the gut proves they're not buying it. Just as Scarface raises a dagger, Edwina bursts in, wielding a rolling pin like a club. "Leave him alone," she shouts, swinging at the nearest thug. The surprise attack gives Aldrich a chance to break free, and they scramble back toward the bakery, the mercenaries cursing behind them. Inside, they barricade the door, hearts pounding. Edwina's dad, still weak but awake, grabs a rusty sword from the wall, a relic from some forgotten war. "We can't outrun them," he rasps. "We need help." Aldrich agrees, recalling the villagers who backed them before. They send the stable boy to rally the blacksmith, Weaver, and a few others. Promising a plan, the storm worsens, rain hammering the roof. As the mercenaries pound on the door, time's running out. The villagers arrive, armed with whatever's handy hammers, pitchforks, a butcher's cleaver. The blacksmith, a burly man named Godwin, takes charge. "We owe you for the taxes," he grunts. "Let's show these dogs what we're made of." The plan's simple. Lure the mercenaries into a trap. Edwina suggests using the market square. Its tight layout could bottleneck the attackers. Aldrich adds a twist. They'll set a decoy fire near the stalls to draw attention, then ambush from the shadows. It's risky, but it's all they've got. They set the trap at midnight. Edwina lights a small fire near a wool stall, the flames catching fast in the wet wood, sending smoke curling into the storm. The mercenaries charge in, swords drawn, thinking it's a chance to catch the duo off guard. But as they rush the flames, the villagers strike. Godwin swings a hammer, knocking out a thug, while the weaver tangles another with a rope. Aldrich and Edwina team up, using a broom and rolling pin to trip Scarface, who stumbles into a puddle, cursing. The fight's messy thunder masks the shouts, but the villagers' numbers win out. Scarface escapes, limping into the rain, vowing revenge, but the rest are down or fleeing. Victory's sweet, but short. The Lord's men arrive at dawn, alerted by the fire's glow. They're not here for a fight. They want answers. Aldrich steps up, spinning a tale about a lightning strike, sparking the blaze, and the silver as a communal offering to avoid harsher taxes. The captain, a shrewd man with a trimmed beard, narrows his eyes but accepts it. The Lord's too busy with his castle to dig deeper. The villagers cheer, but Edwina pulls Aldrich aside. This isn't over. Scarface will be back. She's right. Days later, a note slips under the bakery door, a crude drawing of a dagger, and the words, "I'll return." The monk guardian reappears too, skulking near the chapel ruins, warning that the curse lingers if the silver's intent wasn't pure. Aldrich and Edwina realize their blessing might need more. They gather the villagers again, proposing a feast with the leftover coin feeding the poor, honoring the monk's penance. The community pitches in, baking bread, roasting meat, and sharing stories. The monk blesses the event, his hollow eyes softening, and the curse seems to fade. No sickness, no disasters. The feast marks a turning point. Aldrich and Edwina's partnership solidifies their niche as village saviors growing. The mercenaries don't return. Scarface's pride takes a hit too big to risk again. The Lord's taxes ease slightly, thanks to the goodwill, and Edwina's bakery thrives. Aldrich sticks around, trading less and helping more. His charm now for the village's benefit. The silver's gone, but the bonds it forged remain. The monk vanishes, leaving only whispers, and the chapel stands as a quiet reminder of their wild ride. That's the end of Story 4. Folks, Aldrich and Edwina turned chaos into community, outsmarting foes and lifting a curse. Stay tuned for Story 5. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the toughest storm you've weathered with friends? Drop it below, and I'll catch you in the next tale. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're kicking off a fresh medieval tale tonight, and it's packed with fire, intrigue, and a mystery that could forge a legend. Meet Godwin, a burly blacksmith with a hidden past, and Aveline, a curious apprentice who stumbles into his secret. This story's set in a rugged hamlet where the clang of hammers hides darker truths. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're ready for some epic history, and subscribe if you're loving these deep dives. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always cool to see our global crew linking up. All right, let's set the mood. Hear the roar of a forge and the whisper of secrets, and let's step into the blacksmith's world. It's 1225, and the hamlet of Thornwick is a gritty little spot nestled between rolling hills and a dense forest. The air smells of coal and sweat, thanks to Godwin's forge, the heart of the village. He's a mountain of a man, broad-shouldered and scarred, his arms corded with muscle from years at the anvil. His hammer strikes iron with a rhythm that's almost music, shaping plowshares and sword blades with equal skill. Villagers rely on him. Farmers need tools. Knights need weapons, but Godwin keeps to himself. His niche as the silent craftsman, earning respect and a bit of wariness. He's got a secret, though one he guards like a dragon hoards gold. And it's about to unravel. Aveline's the spark that lights the fuse. She's a wiry 16-year-old, apprenticed to Godwin after her dad. A failed tanner. Couldn't feed her. She's got a quick mind and quicker hands, learning to stoke the fire and swing a lighter hammer. Her brown hair's always escaping its linen cap, and her apron's patched from leaning too close to the sparks. She's curious, too curious, and that's her trouble. One evening, while sweeping the forge, she notices a loose stone in the wall behind the bellows. Tugging it free, she finds a small iron coffer, its lid etched with strange runes. Inside are a gold ring, a folded parchment, and a shard of blackened steel. Her heart races. Godwin's never mentioned this. The next day, she confronts him. He's at the anvil, hammering a horseshoe, sweat beading on his brow. "Master, what's this?" she asks, holding up the coffer. Godwin's hammer freezes mid-strike, his face darkening. "Put that back," he growls, snatching it from her, but the damage is done. Aveline's seen the fear in his eyes, and she's not letting it go. That night, she sneaks back, copying the runes into a scrap of leather with charcoal. She's determined to crack this mystery, even if it means crossing Godwin. The village buzzes with its own drama. A traveling knight, Sir Roland, rides in, demanding a new sword for a tournament in the Lord's court. He's cocky, with a velvet cloak and a sneer, tossing gold coins like they're pebbles. Godwin grumbles, but takes the job, his forge roaring late into the night. Aveline watches, noting how he handles the steel with extra care. Almost reverence, she slips the leather scrap to old Mara, the village herbalist, who knows a bit of ancient script from her travels. Mara's eyes widen. These are old protection runes, maybe from a warrior's oath. Where'd you get this? Aveline dodges the question, but Mara warns, dig too deep, and you might wake something best left sleeping. Meanwhile, Godwin's past creeps closer. A stranger arrives, cloaked and hooded, asking for him by name at the tavern. The locals point to the forge, and the man watches from afar, his presence unsettling. Aveline spots him and tails him, ducking behind stalls. He meets a shady merchant near the well, whispering about the blacksmith's debt and a blade that shouldn't exist. Her gut tells her this ties to the coffer. Back at the forge, she quizzes Godwin again, this time softer. "Master, who's after you?" he sighs, setting down his hammer, a mistake from years ago. "I forged a sword for a rebel lord, one the king wanted dead. The blade was cursed, killed its wielder, and brought me shame. I hid it, swore never to speak of it." The stranger's move comes fast. That night, he breaks into the forge, searching for the coffer. Aveline, sleeping nearby, wakes to the clatter and grabs a poker from the fire. She swings at the intruder, who drops a dagger and flees, leaving a torn cloak behind. Godwin rushes in, sees the mess, and curses. The coffer's still there, but the parchment's gone. He knows. Godwin mutters, "They'll come for the blade next." Aveline's confused. "There's no blade in the coffer." Godwin explains, "The steel shard is a piece of that cursed sword, hidden to keep its power buried. The ring," he says, "belonged to the rebel lord, a symbol of his oath." The village stirs with tension. Sir Roland's sword is nearly done, but Godwin's distracted, his secret unraveling. Aveline suggests they confront the stranger, using the forge's heat to their advantage. Godwin agrees, forging a trap, a fake sword laced with weak metal that'll shatter in a fight. They bait the stranger, leaving word at the tavern that the cursed blade is ready. The hooded man returns, eager, and walks into their setup. As he grabs the fake, Godwin slams the anvil down, pinning his hand. Aveline holds the poker, demanding answers. "Who sent you?" The man spits. "The king's men. That sword's a threat. They'll burn this village to find it." The standoff's interrupted by hoofbeats. Sir Roland and his retinue ride up, drawn by the commotion. Seeing the struggle, he draws his unfinished sword, demanding order. Godwin reveals the truth. "The cursed blade's gone, shattered long ago, and the shard's all that's left, a relic, not a weapon." The stranger laughs bitterly, admitting the king's fear was overblown, and offers a deal silence for his life. Roland, amused, agrees to report the blade's destruction, sparing the village. The stranger flees, and Godwin burns the coffer's contents in the forge, the ring melting into slag. Aveline's earned her keep, her curiosity forging a bond with Godwin. The village settles. Roland's sword is finished, and the secret's buried again. But the clang of the hammer carries a new rhythm trust, tempered by fire. That's Chapter 1 of Story 5. Godwin and Aveline face a shadowy past, setting the stage for more. Stay tuned for Chapter 2. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the biggest secret you've uncovered? Drop it below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're diving deeper into the blacksmith's secret saga tonight. Last time, we met Godwin, the gruff blacksmith of Thornwick, and his apprentice Aveline, who stumbled onto a hidden coffer tied to a cursed sword and a rebel lord's past. They outsmarted a king's spy, but the danger's far from over. Tonight, we're cranking up the heat as new enemies emerge, old wounds reopen, and our duo forges a plan to protect their village. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're loving this journey, and subscribe if you're new to these historical vibes. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a thrill to see our global crew tuning in. All right, let's set the mood. Feel the sizzle of molten iron, and let's jump back into the action. The forge is quiet after the stranger's escape, but the air's thick with unease. Godwin stares into the dying embers. The melted ring, a faint glow on the floor. Aveline paces, her linen cap askew, clutching the poker she used to fend off the intruder. The fake sword trick worked, but the king's men won't stop Thornwick's now a target, and the cursed shard's secret is out. Godwin mutters, "I thought burning it would end this," his voice heavy with regret. Aveline shakes her head. "They'll come back. We need to be ready." Her niche as the curious apprentice is evolving. She's not just learning to hammer, she's learning to strategize. Word spreads fast. The next day, old Mara hobbles into the forge, her gnarled hands clutching a bundle of herbs. "I heard from the miller," she says. "A royal envoy's on the way, asking about a traitor's blade." "Ah, they think you've got it." Godwin, the blacksmith's jaw tightens. The rebel lord he once served, Sir Cedric, had been a thorn in the king's side, forging alliances against royal taxes. Godwin crafted Cedric's sword, a masterpiece infused with runes for strength. But it backfired, killing Cedric in a duel and earning Godwin a death mark. He fled, hid the shard, and built a new life. Now, that past is clawing back. Aveline digs deeper. She sketches the runes from memory, showing Mara, who deciphers them as a binding spell meant to tie the sword's power to its maker. If they find the shard, Mara warns, they could use it to track you. Maybe worse. Godwin's face pales. He'd thought destroying the sword ended the curse, but the shard might still hold its magic. They need to get rid of it, or use it. Aveline suggests a bold move. Forge a decoy shard, plant it as bait, and lure the envoy into a trap. Godwin hesitates, but nods her plan's risky. But he's out of options. They work late, the forge roaring as rain drums outside. Godwin melts scrap iron, shaping a fake shard with Aveline's help. She carves fake runes with a chisel, her hands steady despite the heat. The real shard, wrapped in cloth, stays hidden in a hollow hammer handle, a trick Godwin learned from Cedric. By dawn, the decoy's ready, gleaming with a convincing patina. They stash it in a chest near the forge's edge, leaving it accidentally visible. Then wait. The envoy arrives at noon, 3 armored men on horseback, led by a wiry captain with a hawkish nose. He demands to see Godwin, his voice cold. We seek a cursed blade tied to treason. Hand it over, or the village burns. Godwin plays dumb, gesturing to the chest. Found this old thing. Take it if you want. The captain smirks, ordering a soldier to check it. As the man lifts the lid, Aveline signals Mara, who's hidden nearby with a horn. She blows it, and the village erupts. Farmers with pitchforks, kids with slingshots, all rushing the square in a staged riot. The distraction works. The captain and his men focus on the crowd, giving Godwin and Aveline a chance to slip the real shard to Mara, who vanishes into the forest with it. The soldier grabs the decoy, and the envoy rides off. Satisfied? Or so they think. But the trap's not over. That night, the captain returns alone, sneaking into the forge. He's not fooled. He knows the shard's a fake and wants the real one. He corners Godwin, pressing a dagger to his throat. Where is it? Traitor, Avellini, hidden behind the bellows, grabs a hot iron rod and jabs it into the captain's back. He yelps, dropping the dagger, and flees, cursing. The village is safe for now. Mara buries the shard deep in the forest, marking it with a rune-carved stone only she knows. Godwin thanks Aveline, his gruff exterior cracking into a rare smile. You're more than an apprentice, he says, but the king's men aren't done. A week later, a letter arrives, sealed with wax, demanding Godwin's presence at court to answer for Cedric's rebellion. It's a summons, not a request, and refusal means death. Aveline suggests they go, turning the tables, bring evidence of the decoy, prove the blade's gone, and clear his name. Godwin's reluctant, but her logic wins. They'll need allies, though, and the village's trust. They rally support. Godwin trains the villagers in basic defense, how to wield a hammer or pitchfork, while Aveline spreads word to nearby hamlets, promising trade favors. The blacksmith's secret has united them. His niche, shifting from loner to leader. Sir Roland, still in the area, offers to escort them, seeing a chance to curry favor with the court. The plan's set. Head to the king's castle, face the envoy, and end this. But as they pack, a shadow watches from the trees. Mara's uneasy, sensing the shard's power might not stay buried. That's Chapter 2 of Story 5. Godwin and Aveline outwit the envoy, but the king's call looms. Stay tuned for Chapter 3. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new, and tell me, what's the bravest stand you've taken for someone? Drop it below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're wrapping up the blacksmith's secret saga tonight with a thrilling climax. Last time, Godwin and Aveline turned the tables on a king's envoy with a decoy shard, rallied the village, and got a summons to face the court over Godwin's rebel past. Now, they're heading into the lion's den, with the cursed shard's power still lurking and new dangers closing in. So, grab a cozy drink, hit that like button if you're loving this ride, and subscribe if you're new to these historical deep dives. Drop a comment below, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always epic to see our global crew vibing together. All right, let's set the mood. Feel the weight of a castle's stone walls. And let's dive into the final chapter. The journey to the king's castle takes 3 days. The road winding through muddy fields and dense woods. Godwin rides a sturdy mare, his hammer strapped to his side, while Aveline clings to a borrowed mule, the decoy shard hidden in her pack. Sir Roland leads, his velvet cloak flapping, flanked by a few villagers, Godwin's makeshift guard. The air's tense. The shard's burial hasn't stopped the unease Mara warned about. Aveline's niche as a strategist shines. She's mapped the route, noting ambush spots, while Godwin broods, his past weighing on him like a second anvil. The summons looms large. Prove the cursed blade's gone, or face execution. They reach the castle at dusk, its gray towers piercing a stormy sky. The courtyard's alive with knights, servants, and barking dogs. The king's banner snapping in the wind. The envoy, the hawk-nosed captain from Thornwick, greets them with a sneer. "The traitor and his girl," he mocks, leading them to the great hall. Inside, it's all polished stone and flickering torches. The king on a throne of oak, his advisors whispering. Godwin steps forward, the decoy shard in hand, and begins his tale. "I forged a sword for Sir Cedric, a rebel against your father's taxes. It cursed its wielder and was destroyed. This is all that remains a fake, made to mislead." The king, a stern man with a gray beard, leans forward. "Prove it." Roland steps up, offering to test the shard in a mock duel. The court buzzes as he swings it against a guard's blade. The decoy shatters, its weak metal clanging to the floor. The advisors nod, impressed, but the envoy isn't convinced. "The real shard's out there," he snaps. "Search them." Guards move in, but Aveline's ready. She'd swapped the decoy with a spare iron piece earlier, keeping the real one buried. They find nothing, and the king waves the guards off, intrigued. A clever trick, but why hide it? Godwin takes a breath, his voice steady. "I fled shame, not treason. Cedric's cause was just your father's taxes starved us. I destroyed the blade to end its curse, not to defy you." The hall falls silent. The king's eyes narrow, weighing the words. Before he can respond, a crash echoes. The great doors burst open, and Scarface, the mercenary from Thornwick, storms in, dragging old Mara. "Found this witch with your shard," he shouts, tossing a cloth bundle at the throne. The real shard glints inside, its runes glowing faintly. Mara's bound, her face defiant. I took it to protect the village, she says. The curse lingers. It seeks its maker. Chaos erupts. The envoy demands Godwin's death. Citing treason and sorcery, Aveline leaps to Mara's defense, shouting, "She saved us. The shard's power is in Godwin's hands. Let him break it." The king, sensing a spectacle, orders a test. Godwin's brought a portable forge, set up in the hall. He heats the shard, its glow intensifying, and with Aveline's help, hammers it into a shapeless lump. The runes fade, the air crackles, and a wave of heat knocks back the court. The curse lifts. Mara slumps, freed from its pull, and the shard's power dies. The king's impressed but cautious. "You've proven your skill, blacksmith. Your village is spared, but your past stays watched." He exiles Godwin from court duties, a light punishment, and Roland vouches for Thornwick's loyalty. Scarface is dragged out, his contract voided, while Mara's released, her wisdom earning respect. The journey home is quiet, the villagers celebrating their survival. Godwin and Aveline's bond deepens. He names her co-master of the forge, her curiosity now a strength. The shard's lump is buried under the chapel ruins, a silent end to its tale. That's the end of Story 5. Folks, Godwin and Aveline faced the court, broke the curse, and forged a new future. Stay tuned for Story 6. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the toughest trial you've overcome with help? Drop it below, and I'll catch you in the next tale. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're launching a brand new medieval adventure tonight, and it's steeped in mystery, magic, and a quest that could change everything. Meet old Mara, the village herbalist with a knack for potions, and young Cedric, a shepherd boy with a hidden gift. This tale unfolds in a misty valley where nature holds secrets and danger. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're ready for some epic storytelling, and subscribe if you're loving these historical vibes. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a joy to see our global crew linking up. All right, let's set the mood, smell the earth, and hear the rustle of leaves. And let's step into the herbalist's quest. It's 1290, and the Valley of Greystone is a lush, shadowy place, cradled by steep hills and cloaked in morning mist. The village is small, its thatched roofs peeking through the fog, its people tied to the land. Old Mara lives on the edge, her hut a tangle of vines and drying herbs, its roof sagging under bundles of lavender and sage. She's wiry, with silver hair tucked under a woolen cap, her hands stained green from years of grinding roots. Her niche is healing. Villagers seek her for fevers, wounds, even love charms, but they whisper she's a witch. Too, Mara doesn't care. She knows the forest's secrets, and that's her power. Lately, though, she's felt a shift. Something dark stirring in the woods. Cedric's a lanky 14-year-old, tending his family's sheep on the hills. He's got a quiet way about him, his brown eyes always scanning the horizon. And a staff? He's carved himself. His niche is his connection to the flock. They follow him like he's magic. Even the stubborn rams. One evening, while rounding them up, he spots a glowing flower unlike any he's seen. Pale blue, pulsing faintly, nestled by an ancient oak. Touching it sends a jolt through him, and he hears a whisper, "Find the root." He tells his mom, who scoffs. But the next day, he sneaks back with a sack, determined to show Mara. Mara's intrigued when Cedric brings the flower. "Moon petal," she murmurs, recognizing it from old tales. A rare herb said to cure any poison, but guarded by a spirit. The whisper confirms it. Cedric's gift is hearing the land. A talent Mara's long suspected in him. She warns him. This isn't a game. The spirit won't give it up easy. But Cedric's stubborn. He wants to help, especially since his little sister's been sick. Her cough worsening, Mara agrees to guide him, seeing a chance to test his potential and protect the village. The forest is dense, its paths twisting like veins. They set out at dawn, Mara with a staff and a pouch of salts, Cedric with his sack and staff. The air hums with life birds' call. Leaves rustle, but there's an edge to it. They find more moon petals, their glow lighting the gloom, and Cedric hears more whispers, guiding them deeper. Mara marks their trail with chalk, muttering about a guardian's lair. Suddenly, the ground shakes, and a figure emerges, a hulking woodland spirit, its bark-like skin creaking, eyes glowing green. "Why seek my gift?" It booms. Mara steps forward. To heal, not harm. The boy hears you let him prove his worth. The spirit sets a trial. Retrieve a crystal from a cave guarded by wolves. Proving their intent, Cedric's nervous but nods. His love for his sister pushing him. They reach the cave, its mouth dark and damp, the howls echoing inside. Mara tosses salt to ward off the wolves, giving Cedric a clear path. He creeps in, staff ready, and finds the crystal, a fist-sized gem pulsing with light. The wolves lunge, but his connection with nature calms them, and he escapes with the prize. Back outside, he offers it to the spirit, who tests its purity by holding it to the moon petal. The flower brightens, and the spirit relents. Take the root, but guard it well. They dig up the moon petal's root, a gnarled thing that glows faintly. Mara brews a potion that night, feeding it to Cedric's sister. Her cough eases by morning, a miracle to the village. But the spirit's warning lingers, guard it well. That night, a shadowy figure watches Mara's hut, its eyes reflecting the potion's light. The quest has drawn attention, and trouble's brewing. That's Chapter 1 of Story 6. Mara and Cedric begin a magical quest, facing a spirit and saving a life. Stay tuned for Chapter 2. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the wildest nature you've explored? Drop it below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're diving deeper into the herbalist's quest saga tonight. Last time, old Mara and young Cedric kicked off a magical journey in Greystone's misty valley, facing a woodland spirit to get the moon petal root and save Cedric's sister. They succeeded, but a shadowy watcher hints at trouble ahead. Tonight, we're turning up the stakes as new threats emerge. Old alliances strengthen, and our duo digs into the forest's deeper secrets. So, grab a snack, hit that like button if you're loving this ride, and subscribe if you're new to these historical vibes. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a blast to see our global crew tuning in. All right, let's set the mood. Feel the chill of the forest and the hum of magic. And let's jump back into the action. Cedric's sister is on the mend, her cough fading after Mara's moon petal potion. And the village buzzes with relief. Mara's hut is a hub of activity. Villagers bringing gifts spread. Wool, a carved spoon to thank her. But Mara's eyes are sharp, scanning the tree line where she saw that shadowy figure. Cedric's niche as a nature listener grows. He hears faint whispers from the forest, urging him to protect the root. He tells Mara, who nods grimly, the spirit's gift comes with a price. Someone knows we have it. She brews more potion, stockpiling it, sensing a storm brewing. The trouble hits 2 days later. A band of outlaws, 6 rough men with scarred faces and rusty swords, storms into Greystone. Their leader, a lanky guy with a missing ear, demands the moon petal root, claiming it's worth a king's ransom to a merchant in the next town. The villagers scatter, but Mara stands firm, staff in hand. It's for healing, not gold, she snaps. The leader laughs, drawing a dagger. Heal this. Cedric, nearby with his sheep, grabs his staff and runs to her, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and fury. The outlaws circle, and a fight's inevitable. Mara's quick. She tosses a pouch of ground herbs into the air, the dust sparking a flash that blinds the outlaws. Cedric charges, swinging his staff, cracking it against a thug's knee. The villagers, rallied by the commotion, grab pitchforks and join in the blacksmith Godwin, still fresh from his own saga, swings a hammer with precision. The outlaws are outnumbered, retreating with curses. But the leader vows, we'll be back with friends. Mara and Cedric escape to her hut. The root safe, but the threat real. She checks her stocks, only 3 doses left. And the plant's rare. Cedric's gift deepens that night. As he tends the sheep, the whispers grow clearer, guiding him to a hidden glade where more moon petals glow. He harvests a few, careful not to disturb the spirit, and brings them to Mara. She's impressed, but cautious. The forest's testing you, she says, but others will come. She teaches him to brew, his hands trembling as he grinds petals, the potion's blue hue a sign of success. His sister's recovery speeds up, and word spreads Greystone's got a cure. That's a double-edged sword. The next day, a merchant caravan rolls in, led by a sleek woman in silk. Her eyes calculating, she offers gold for the potion, claiming it's for a dying lord. Mara refuses, sensing greed, but the woman smirks. You can't hide it forever. That night, her men try to steal it, breaking into the hut. Cedric, sleeping nearby, wakes to the crash. Grabbing a pitchfork, Mara hurls a sleeping draft, knocking out 2 thieves, while Cedric chases the third into the woods. The whispers guide him, and he corners the man, who drops a vial of the stolen potion and flees. Back at the hut, Mara examines the vial, its colors off. Diluted. "They're copying us," she says. "We need the spirit's full blessing to protect it." Cedric agrees, and they plan to return to the glade, offering a tribute bread and wool to appease the guardian. The forest feels heavier as they go, the spirit's presence looming. They place the tribute, and it appears, its bark skin creaking. The root's power grows with your care. It rumbles, but greed seeks it. Prove your worth again. It tasks them with cleansing a corrupted spring, poisoned by the outlaws to restore balance. They trek to the spring, its water black and stagnant. Mara mixes a cleansing paste herbs, moon petal dust, and spring water, while Cedric uses his staff to stir it, the whispers guiding his rhythm. The water clears, fish darting back, and the spirit nods approval, granting a new root cluster. But as they harvest, arrows whistle outlaws again. Allied with the merchant's men, Cedric dives, shielding Mara, and they scramble back, the new root clutched tight. The village's safety hangs by a thread, and the quest's far from over. That's Chapter 2 of Story 6. Mara and Cedric fend off thieves, grow Cedric's gift, and face a new challenge. Stay tuned for Chapter 3. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the toughest gift you've protected? Drop it below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're wrapping up the Herbalist's Quest saga tonight with a heart-pounding finale. Last time, old Mara and Cedric battled outlaws and a greedy merchant for the moon petal root, deepened Cedric's nature gift, and earned a new cluster by cleansing a poisoned spring. But the danger's closing in, and their village's fate hangs in the balance. So, grab a cozy drink, hit that like button if you're loving this ride, and subscribe if you're new to these historical deep dives. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always epic to see our global crew vibing together. All right, let's set the mood, feel the tension of a forest showdown, and let's dive into the final chapter. Cedric and Mara stumble back to the hut, arrows still ringing in their ears, the new moon petal cluster clutched in Mara's pouch. The outlaws and merchants' men are out there, regrouping, and Greystone's peace is shattered. Cedric's heart pounds, his niche as a nature listener. Now a lifeline, he hears the forest's warnings, urging them to act. Mara's face is set, her hands steady as she brews a potion from the new root, its blue glow a beacon of hope. "We can't hide forever," she says. "We need to end this." Cedric nods, his love for his sister and village fueling his resolve. The whispers guide him to a plan. Use the forest itself against their enemies. The next morning, the outlaws strike. 10 strong, backed by the merchant's silk-clad enforcers, they storm the village, torches in hand, demanding the moon petal. The villagers scatter, But Mara and Cedric rally a few Godwin with his hammer, Aveline with a pitchfork, and the stable boy with a sling. Mara's potion stock is low, but she crafts a smoke bomb from dried herbs, planning to disorient the attackers. Cedric leads them to the forest edge, where the whispers point to a natural trap, a ravine with a rickety bridge. "We lure them here," he says, his voice firm. Mara agrees, her staff ready. They set the bait. Aveline pretends to flee, dropping a vial of diluted potion to tempt the outlaws. The leader, missing ear, takes the bait, shouting, "Get that root!" His men charge. The merchant's enforcers close behind. Cedric and Godwin light the smoke bomb, its thick gray cloud rolling over the bridge. The attackers cough, stumble, their torches dropping into the ravine, sparking small fires. Cedric guides the villagers to cut the bridge's ropes. His staff marks the weak points, and with a final slash, the structure collapses. Half the outlaws fall, screaming, while the rest retreat, singed and furious. But the merchant woman isn't done. She emerges from the trees, a crossbow in hand, aiming at Mara. "You'll pay for this," she snarls. Cedric dives, pushing Mara aside, and the bolt grazes his arm. Pain sears, but the whispers surge, calming him. He grabs a fallen branch, channeling his gift, and the forest responds. Vines lash out, tangling the merchant. She fires wildly, missing, and her enforcers abandon her as the vines tighten. Godwin and Aveline rush in, disarming her, and she's bound with rope, her threats fading to pleas. Back at the hut, Mara tends Cedric's wound with moon petal salve, its glow sealing the cut. The village gathers, cheering their victory. But Mara's somber, the spirits pleased. But the root's power draws danger. We must guard it. She decides to plant the remaining cluster in the glade, offering it to the forest as a tribute. Cedric leads the trek, the villagers following with bread and wool. The spirit appears, its bark skin creaking, and accepts the gift, its green eyes softening. "You've proven your heart." It rumbles. "The root is yours to heal, not hoard." The glade blooms, a natural pharmacy for Greystone. The aftermath brings peace. The merchants captured, her caravan seized, and the outlaws scatter. The village thrives, its sick healed by Mara's potions. Cedric's gift a legend, his sisters fully recovered, clinging to him with a grin. Mara trains him as her successor, her niche passing to a new generation. The forest whispers less urgently, its balance restored. But Cedric keeps his staff close, knowing nature's secrets never fully sleep. That's the end of Story 6. Folks, Mara and Cedric turned a quest into a village's salvation, mastering magic and courage. Stay tuned for more tales. Hit that like button if you're feeling this. Subscribe if you're new. And tell me, what's the wildest rescue you've been part of? Drop it below, and I'll catch you in the next adventure. Peace.